Hi Chris, my name is Florin, I'm from Romania, and I would like to know how you edit the photo exposure in Lightroom. Do you use the auto button or you do it by yourself? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Florin. This is a question that I could talk about for hours. I have in this Lightroom workshop, for example, but I'd rather show you what I do with photos. This is not going to be a comprehensive workflow thing about Lightroom, but it's going to be at least at least a bit of a look over my shoulder. So maybe that'll help. And let's try this. So here's Lightroom, and Lightroom has, or I have chosen 3 different photos. Now, what I want to do here is let's create virtual copies of those 3. And the virtual copy, you can recognize a virtual copy by this little bent up corner here. And what I want to do is I want to take the virtual copy and just click the auto button. There we go. And I'll do the same for this one. So we'll have the reference what Lightroom does. And this one, you can see they're kind of quite underexposed, at least parts of them. And then I want to take this original version and edit it the way I kind of like it. Well, first of all, one thing that the auto button doesn't do is straighten a photo, but this is all wonky. I exposed this for the sky to be well exposed, but then the foreground, had to dip down. The alternative would have been to expose well for the foreground, but then the whole sky would have blown out, and I kind of like the sky on this one. So let me straighten this one. Now, straighten it too much, and I will lose some of the front of the plane, but I can fix this by bringing it in here and bringing this one out a bit. I shouldn't do these things early in the morning. Here's a little cut off wingtip, but I don't really mind that. So yeah, my idea would be to bring up the shadows on this one. It's kind of nice. Maybe, let me see, bring the entire exposure up a bit. Yeah, maybe. Then bring the highlights down, but I want the highlights only in the sky. So I want to bring the highlights down with the brush just up here in the sky. And I think we have detail where we need it. Everything's okay. Yep. I think that would be my solution. Let's do the reveal in the end. So here's, well, not much of a reveal. Let's do it right now. So yeah, here's Lightroom's version. Here's my version. Lightroom did a very good job. It did pretty much the same that I would do when working on a photo like this. Here's another one. So this is the original. This is what Lightroom thinks it should do. Now, I don't want all the detail back in the brushes there, so I want to bring out those in the front much more. So here is, well, and it's too cool. I want this warmer because it was a warm summer day. So I'm raising the color temperature. Too far? No, it's not good. I always try to go like to the extremes of the sliders and then just, yeah, fix it somewhere here. So what I want to do is, without bringing out too much detail in the back here, I want to make these look nice. But the problem here is we have a few blown out areas and we have some chromatic aberration. You can see the color fringing here, which doesn't look very nice. So that would be the first thing for me to fix, is the remove chromatic aberrations. If that's gone, it's just so much nicer. Now, I like the way the highlights look in these areas, but then if I bring down the global highlights, it just brings down too much. It doesn't look nice. So I want to brush in a highlight reduction just to the areas that are blown out. And this way I create a brush with negative highlights, and then I'm And if I overdo this here, I can change it later. That's the nice thing about Lightroom, it being kind of non-destructive. It doesn't take those changes don't just get stuck and baked into the file. They're outside of that. So here we have something. This one can come down a bit. Still a bit blown out. Now, I don't get an overexposure warning here, but it just feels blown out. So it means it's probably a bit too much at least. One here. And I do have a bit of a soft edge on that brush. With a shift key, might even make it a bit softer. Just for this to be not too harsh. So, up here, there's more up here. So, if I turn that brush off, yeah. I want to add a second one with more highlights reduction just to get a hold of a few of these areas, because there is detail. Can you see that? There is something here, and I want to just save this. So this is detailed manual work, but hey, some photos I think just need that. I'll try to be quick, but that just takes a bit of time. Now we're getting somewhere. A little bit here. That one is good now. Up here. And don't get me wrong, it's not every photo needs to have detail everywhere. Okay, that is it. I'm not saying a photo is a bad photo if it lacks detail somewhere. That's not at all what I'm saying. But some photos just, I think, work better, especially one that lives by those textures. So that's the before and the after. And this is what Lightroom made of it. Okay, just the warmth, of course, is a big difference, but then also, yeah, I don't need the detail back here. I want the focus to be on the front here, on these wispy branches here, these dried out branches. So third one, last one. Again, this one. This is what Lightroom thinks is good. This is what, well, this is my template. So bringing up the exposure in this one, I lose the interesting look between the neon tube and the background. I want this to be kind of moody. So the exposure is kind of where I want it. It's there, right? Maybe a bit up, but not too much. Now, this here in the front, of course, could use some brightening up. Now, this is going to be difficult because this is all a decision based on taste, right? This is no right or wrong here. So let me try to bring up the shadows with a brush and just in parts bring it up here on those people. The guy here, yeah, he gets a bit more detail in the shadows without influencing anything else. This was also in New Zealand, by the way. This was inside a building, this little cafe kind of thing, and this is the kitchen or where they sell stuff. So yeah, I kind of like this. So yeah, this is probably not. And what happens if I add a bit of, just a little bit of exposure? Oh yeah, this brings it up. If we add a bit of exposure here, maybe not too much. I'm holding the Alt key to change the brush into a negative brush, so it takes it away again. This is like a little vignette around those people. And I want to bring out those bulbs a bit more. How can we do that? Let me try something. First of all, I want to bring out the highlights on those. Does it help if I bring out the exposure? Yes, it does, but I need to be careful to only make this work on the bright part. So let me take a color range mask, which is a mask that only works on, it limits the brush to only certain parts. There we go. So this is the color range. Just make sure to not get the edges too hard. So now whatever I do here doesn't affect what's going on around here. So I like this brush. Let me put the color picker back. And now I'll add it to the other bulb. So here's one. It's the same brush I'm painting in here. And I might change it, but it's not looking too bad, to be honest. Oh yeah, this one is a super bright one. No, take that last one out. That is bright enough. But those three, how do they look? Do they need a bit more warmth? Ah, see, I can change the color temperature on those and just make them a bit warmer. Yeah, I kind of like this. And last but not least, let me straighten it, because especially architectural photos, I kind of like straightened. So this one, vertical lines. I like when vertical lines are more vertical. All right, I think we have it. So again, here's Lightroom. And on the left is my edit. And oh, I like mine more, especially with the orange bulbs now and clear distinction between the foreground and background here. So here you have it. Editing photos is a purely subjective thing. Sometimes it has to work hand in hand with the exposure. So when you expose for, let's say, a sky, then the foreground might get too dark and you have to correct it in post. And yeah, it is a matter of taste, and I hope this gave you just a little bit of an idea of where to go with photos. But again, the auto button does a very good job. Lightroom is very, very good at that. So hope this helped. Bye-bye.